Hey there YouTube, Wrestling Optimus here, back with another action figure review. It's Wednesday, the best night of the wrestling week, which means it's time for AEW Dynamite on TNT. Although next week is the 1-year anniversary of AEW's flagship show, tonight we celebrate the 30th anniversary of Mr. Reinvention, the Lionheart, the Ayatollah of Rock and Rolla, the man of 1,004 holds, mostly armbars, the best in the world at what he does, the Demo God Le Champion, Y2J Chris Jericho. Oh, and I think Cody might have a match too, but it's probably not a big deal. Anyway, I've got on my little bit of the bubbly shirt, and I'm ready to go. As always, if you're new here, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more pro wrestling and action figure content. Now, we're headed into Daly's place, so for a recap and review, let's take it over to the action figures. Dynamite opens with a video package of the AEW roster putting over Jericho's career. Ricky Starks, Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, Best Friends, Santana and Ortiz, Sammy Guevara, Scorpio Sky, Britt Baker, and the only person I actually have a figure for, Jake Hager, all speak about their experiences with the legend. I'd just like to add that not only has Chris Jericho wrestled across 4 decades, he's held titles in ECW, WCW, WWF, WWE, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and AEW. I don't think anyone else can say that. Later, we get even more videos from rockers Slash, Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, Lars Ulrich, and Steel Panther, filmmaker Kevin Smith, comedians Gabriel Iglesias and Dennis Miller, basketball star Shaquille O'Neal, NHL legend and Jericho's dad Ted Irvine, wrestling insider Don Callis, Japanese ace Hiroshi Tanahashi, and wrestlers Lance Storm, Diamond Dallas Page, Chavo Guerrero Jr., Ultimo Dragon, and Bubba Ray Dudley. Wow, you can really see the impact that Jericho's career has had on this industry and other pop culture industries. As the intro fireworks go off, we see Miro and Kip Sabian playing a full-size arcade cabinet at ringside to emphasize the gamer part of his new persona. The commentary desk is full as the normal crew of Tony Schiavone, Jim Ross, and Excalibur are joined by Taz and Ricky Starks. They're out here to support the third member of Team Taz, Brian Cage, as he defends his FTW championship against Big Will Hobbs in a good old-fashioned monster battle. For those of you who don't know, in 1998, when Shane Douglas couldn't defend the ECW championship due to an injury, Taz created the FTW championship as a way of declaring himself the real world champion in the interim. I like how he's bringing it back now so he can arrogantly declare his guy the real AEW world champion. Early on, they exchange shoulder tackles, trying to establish dominance. Excalibur tells the inspirational real-life story of how Will Hobbs' brother was killed, shielding him from gunfire. If you wanted to build babyface sympathy for Hobbs, that's how you do it. Predictably, both monsters display their raw power with slams, suplexes, and clotheslines. But when those don't put either man away, they switch over to using their incredible athleticism, like Cage's standing moonsault. Hobbs goes high risk and pays the price, allowing the machine to capitalize with a sit-down driver for the win. He retains his FTW title. This match was awesome, and exactly what Braun Strowman vs. Dabba-Kato could have been. More importantly, these guys had great chemistry, and this match put over Will Hobbs strong as a young guy to watch. Ricky Starks joins Brian Cage in the ring, but Taz stops them. He says Hobbs was impressive and earned his respect, so he's giving Will 2 options. Join Team Taz, or Starks and Cage can beat his ass. Before he can decide though, Darby Allin's music plays. He runs out with his skateboard in hand as Team Taz angrily powders out while staring daggers back at him. Taz says soon, Darby's gonna learn not to stick his nose in Team Taz business. Lance Archer cuts a promo recapping his history with Jon Moxley in New Japan and says if 20 men in a battle royale couldn't stop him, Mox doesn't stand a chance in their championship match next week. FTR comes out for this week's 20-minute brush with greatness. They're taking on the Hybrid 2, and right away Jack Evans' fast-paced, high-flying style seems to be FTR's kryptonite. So they give up and try to bail with the titles, but Angelico catches them with a crossbody and Evans finishes it off with a flip from the top rope. Forced back into the match, Tully distracts the ref so FTR can double-team Evans, grounding his offense while cutting him off from his partner. When he does get the tag, the submission specialist of the team somehow manages to cinch in a double choke. The champs battle back though, and in the end, Cash Wheeler hits a flying splash for the 1-2-3. Here we have a team that most fans probably forgot about, putting on a solid sleeper match which perfectly showcased just how deep this division really is. I'm so glad the Hybrid 2 got this opportunity to be on national TV, and they crushed it. Don't get me wrong, they didn't deserve the titles and nobody actually expected them to win. The point was for them to get the rub by looking good in defeat versus the champs. That's how good promotions use their champions in between larger feuds and storylines. And it's yet another example of how AEW accidentally upstages WWE simply by doing things the right way. During the match, commentary asks what can be done about the Young Bucks super kicking non-wrestlers backstage, since the monetary fines clearly aren't working. After the match, we see them backstage brilliantly mocking the way WWE wrestlers watch TV. Nick is back and accuses the cameraman of spying on them, so of course, they super kick him. Back in the ring, the Tron shows a picture of FTR dressed in hot dog costumes as best friends come out with the same image on their t-shirts. Trent condescendingly explains that, as comedy backyard wrestlers, they're calling FTR a couple of weenies. Get it? Chuck reminds them that they're number one contenders. Then he drops the bomb that, per Tony Khan, their title shot will be next week's anniversary show. That's our second scheduled championship match for next week. MJF cuts a promo about the first time he met Chris Jericho at Double or Nothing. He claims Chris told him, "You've really got something. Keep it up. Don't stop." Max says he's proud of Jericho and may or may not show up for the ceremony tonight. It's time for the dog collar match between Cody, accompanied by his wife Brandy and coach Arn Anderson, and Mr. Brody Lee, accompanied by Dark Order members Anna Jay and John Silver, who's carrying the collars on a 16-foot chain. Justin Roberts introduces dog collar match veteran Greg the Hammer Valentine in the crowd, and Doc Sampson at ringside to emphasize the history and brutality of this stipulation. Right away, Cody clocks John Silver with the chain, drawing first blood. Then Brody Lee forces Silver to sit in a chair at ringside, only for Cody to drop kick him in the face. Brody Lee hits Cody in the face with the chain, cutting him open as well. Now there's two men bleeding. During a commercial, Cody uses a package pile driver to put Brody Lee through a table, opening him up as well, and now everybody's bleeding. Brody Lee throws a chair at Arn Anderson. He steps in the ring only for Alex Reynolds to run out and get hit with a spine buster. Brody hits Arn in the gut with a chain and he rolls to the outside. Cody stands over the Exalted One, strangling him with the chain, then hits him with the Crossroads, but Brody defiantly kicks out at 1. Now Cody wraps Brody Lee's entire head in the chain and elbows him repeatedly in the face. He hits a second Crossroads and gets the shock pin to regain the TNT Championship. This match was exactly the kind of emotional, story-driven fight we've come to expect from Cody in AEW, and it was a far cry from the 3-minute squash in which he lost the title. Those matches were equally brutal, but for opposite reasons. One, for its one-sidedness, the other, for its bloody violence. And oh boy, did we get violence. I particularly enjoyed Greg Valentine grimacing in horror throughout. I will say, I was genuinely surprised by the ending. Brody Lee has been doing such a good job playing the monster cult leader that I felt he had a little more left in his reign. However, I also understand the decision. This is the workhorse belt. It's supposed to be defended every week. That works best with a babyface challenging heels and giving other faces opportunities, rather than a heel whose general MO is to avoid defending the belt at all. In an equally emotional interview with Tony Schiavone afterwards, Cody thanks the fans and confirms that he's staying babyface for the people, no matter what his hairstyle might suggest. And as part of the promise to those fans, he's going to defend the TNT Championship at next week's anniversary show. Tony asks who he plans to face, and without skipping a beat, out comes freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. He and Cody exchange thumbs up to indicate it's on. We're one belt away from an AEW Clash of Champions with all titles on the line. Just saying. In a reversal of last week, it's revealed that Wardlow, Colt Cabana, and Hangman Adam Page will be joining the number one contenders tournament. So of course, we cut to Alex Marvez with Kenny Omega's reaction. He ignores the Hangman issue and says he's pumped because if you name a wrestling tournament anywhere in the world, he's probably won it at some point. When Marvez points out Hangman's inclusion though, Kenny repeatedly calls him a tag team wrestler. Omega claims that once he wins the tournament, he'll become the AEW champion he was destined to be since day one. Big Swole takes on Serena Deeb in our first and only women's action of the night. It's a pretty good match, but half of it takes place during a commercial. This is also the match where they decided to roll the dark results along the bottom of the screen, clearly signaling to the audience that this was your bathroom break match. Big Swole wins with a kick, headbutt, discus elbow combination, and the women still deserve better. It's Jon Moxley's turn to cut a promo. We go between him walking through a desert and sitting at a bar. He says he doesn't have time to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of AEW Dynamite because, as champion, there's always someone waiting in the wings for their shot at him. He knows one day he'll be taken out, and it very well could be against Lance Archer. He barely survived their match in Japan, and now Lance is back to finish the job. The result is a veritable coin flip, but either way, he promises to leave it all in the ring. Perfectly capturing his blasé tone, Mox reverses Archer's catchphrase, shrugging and casually saying, "Everybody dies." In the main event, Chris Jericho and Jake Hager take on the oddball yet undefeated team of Serpentico and Luther. According to a video featured on Dark, Chris and Luther go back to 1991 and are good friends in real life. That's what gives this seemingly random match a ton of meaning, actually. The reduced crowd is nevertheless electric, leading a chorus of Judas and chanting Jericho's name. The man of the hour starts things off and easily handles Serpentico before squaring off against his old pal Luther. The original Death Dealer gets the advantage when he throws Serpentico onto the inner circle and adds a dive of his own off the top rope. Chaos Project continues to dominate Jericho until Jake Hager rejoins the action. However, when Ortiz tries to throw Jericho his baseball bat Floyd, it's intercepted by Luther, who nails Jericho in the gut. Sammy Guevara distracts Luther from the apron long enough for Jericho to hit the Judas effect and pick up the victory in his 30th anniversary match. Jericho grabs the mic and starts to cut a promo when MJF's music hits. He comes out with Wardlow and something under a sheet. He says it's Gift O'Clock and unveils Clownico Le Clown. Stealing the spotlight for a moment, MJF says that he's going to make a career-defining announcement next week and invites Jericho to attend. After reassuring Sammy that he'll get his jacket, Max presents the real gift, a giant framed picture of himself. This brings back memories of when The Rock gave Farouk a giant picture of himself and eventually broke up the Nation of Domination. Jericho thanks him, then smashes the picture over Clownico's head and gives him a Judas effect. He snaps at MJF, "I hate clowns and don't ever interrupt me again." There's a tense stare down before they simultaneously start laughing. In a scene reminiscent of Saturday Night Live, the rest of the AEW heel roster come out and celebrate together in the ring as special credits roll with only Chris Jericho's name. At this point, are we even surprised that AEW put on another fantastic episode? The wrestling was great per usual, there was just enough comedy to keep things fun in between the heavier stuff, and once again, the storyline and character development was top-notch, clearly demonstrating both a calculated, long-term approach and a coherent plan for their entire roster, utilizing interwoven narratives to help get everyone over at no one's expense. As Andy Nemeth said on Twitter, "I used to watch AEW as a wrestling fan. Now, I watch it the same way I watch any other fictionalized TV show, focusing on stories and characters, obsessing over the tiniest callback or hint for what they'll do in the future, and geeking out over every little reference. That's called fan investment. It drives creative companies like wrestling promotions, and you get it by having a dedicated, close-knit group of people working towards a common goal. You don't get it by having an out-of-touch 70-year-old man in charge who intimidates anyone that questions the iron grip he has over his slowly dying company. But hey, what do I know?" Alright, that'll do it for AEW Dynamite. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. I'll be back on Saturday with my action figure review of SmackDown, so check back then. As always, if you found me and enjoy my content, make sure to do all that normal YouTube stuff. Smash the like button, share with any wrestling or action figure fans you may know, subscribe to the channel, and spread the word. You can also talk to me over on Twitter at PSUOptimus, or see all my best figure photography on Instagram at WrestlingOptimus. If you haven't seen my review of Monday Night Raw, you can check that out right here. But until next time, I've been Wrestling Optimus, and I'll catch you later.